Hello and welcome to today's video, which is slightly different because I'm focusing on grades 5, 6 and 7. Grades that every single student of English can aspire to. And I'm going to show you some easy techniques to cheat the description question. Now by cheat I don't mean do something immoral, I mean do something that will help you no matter what the question is, so you will feel like you've cheated the exam. And I will show you a normal description that you can write at the beginning of any piece. Then I'm going to show you 4 images, like the beach and the mountain, this old man, and this family, to show you how the same description can be adapted for each image. So you'll see in bold where I've adapted the description, which is substantially the same for each one. So that's a way we're going to be able to cheat the exam. And this will prepare you for my next video where I show you how to put it all together in 6 steps that will guarantee you those grades 5, 6 and 7. Right, let's see how it works. So I'm going to encourage you to memorize for yourself about 8 lines of description. Now you can write your own, or you can actually steal this one. And yours won't be the same as everyone else's in the country because you will adapt it. And even if it was the same, actually that wouldn't matter. The sun dripped warmth like hot wax, both soothing and smarting the people below. The land glowed with light, the heat so strong it dazzled. The horizon rippled like a bronze shield beaten by a hammer, as though some Greek god had been reborn to hurl shafts of glorious light on the grateful crowds below. The sky showed off its artist's trickery, cobalt blue depths, azure outlines to the few white clouds, a sapphire halo around the sun. Beneath, a watcher might shut their eyes and see the sea, stretched out in lazy ripples in a reflection of the perfect sky. Now I'm going to show you how this boosts your grade by showing you 11 things that does. 11 wow factors that are going to make the examiner sit up and want to give you at least a grade 7. Right, our first skill is the simile, and I've highlighted those in yellow so that you can see we've already brought those to the examiner's attention straight off, and they're fully aware that we're crafting a description. Now, sibilance is where you use the S sound as alliteration, and it's used either to create a sinister atmosphere or one that's really peaceful. And I've mostly gone for the peaceful here, soothing and smarting, so strong it dazzled, shafts of glorious, sky showed off its artists, shut their eyes and see the sea stretched. And you can see how it lengthens your description, gives it a feeling of peace. Next, we really want to focus on powerful verbs. These are the building blocks of your writing. If you get verbs right, everything else, I promise you, will follow. This is your #1 technique, and it adds drama to your writing. So the sun dripped, you can really get the feeling of this slow, hot warmth. It's soothing, which is a lovely idea, and then dangerous with smarting. The light didn't just shine, it glowed. You get the feeling that it's almost alive, pulsing. And then that's built on again by it dazzling. The horizon actually moves, it rippled, a soft, gentle movement, again not threatening. And that's contrasted with the sun as it gets hotter, which is now hurling shafts of light. So hopefully you get this sense of movement in things that aren't moving. It's just light. Light doesn't really move, at least. We would notice it move if we could move at the speed of light, but we can't. So it's just inanimate really, but the verbs make it come to life, give it movement. And that's what I mean by powerful verbs. Now you probably don't need me to show you alliteration, but I've just picked it out in this one sentence. So we've got bronze and beaten, harsh sounds that fit the thing being described. And then the harsh G's of Greek god, glorious and grateful, which also emphasize the harshness of this heat and light. Now, writers writing for young children will put more than two alliterations together, but that makes your writing seem childish. So you'll notice I tend to do my alliteration in pairs, whereas my sibilants will often be more than pairs because you want that soft sound to build. And also it's disguised. The ear doesn't notice sibilants so much as an interruption compared to alliteration. Okay, now we come to the idea of contrast, which I think teachers are increasingly beginning to teach, and that's the other building block of writing. So we had the powerful verbs. Contrast is the way that description gets drama. There's a tension between one thing and another, and so I've highlighted my tension pairs. Soothing, which contrasts with smarting. Glowed, which is like a soft light. Dazzled, which is harsh and violent. We've got light being hurled compared to the reaction of the grateful crowds below who seem to enjoy it. We've got the contrast between sea and sky. All these little contrasts build a real tension in your writing. Even though nothing dramatic is happening, it's not turning into a story, it just feels dramatic because of the contrast. So that's what makes it a top grade skill. Anyone can do it, even if they're currently at grade 3. So give it a go and you will get a higher grade. Right, another easy way to boost your grade is to think about colour in an interesting way. So instead of the word blue, have 3 different ways of describing it. And you can do the same for yellow, green, whatever colours you want. So blue is my example here. We've got cobalt, azure and sapphire. Simply play with the thesaurus, or if you're typing, one of my favourite features is to highlight a word, right click on it, come down to synonyms and look at what you get. Azure, cobalt, navy, sapphire, cerulean, indigo, depressed, down and so on, so that they're alternative meanings, but immediately you've got alternatives to the colour blue. It'll work for every colour you use. Next, you really need to get to grips with the colon. There are a variety of uses, but the easiest one I'm going to teach you here is to introduce a list or an explanation. And the example I'm going to give you is both a list and an explanation. So here it is. It's a list of all the ways the sky is showing off its artist's trickery. Cobalt blue depths, azure outlines to the few white clouds, a sapphire halo around the sun. Now students who do this badly will have a list of, blue sky, white clouds, yellow sun. It's a list, but it's a boring list. So you have to make sure you're using other techniques to have detail in your list. So each of my items in the list, separated by commas, has got several words in it, 3 being my least, and this one, I think that's 7, and this is 6. So they've got to be detailed elements of your list. This list, of course, is also an explanation of how the sky is like an artist, and these would be artists' colours that they'd use in paint. So, colon to introduce an interesting list or to introduce an explanation. A really easy way to show the examiner you're using not just a variety of punctuation, but a variety of punctuation for a deliberate effect. It's trying to show just how, like a painting, how marvellous the sky is. And remember, you can steal this whole introduction, this whole description, and adapt it to any question, as I'll show you. Right, well, the next thing you need to learn is the use of complex sentences. And now, at its most simple, that's a sentence with more than one idea in it and more than one verb. Without getting technical about what a complex sentence is compared to a compound, I'm frankly not interested in that difference anyway, we're just looking at sentences with more than one idea in. Think of it that way. But they can't be complete ideas, then it would have to be separate sentences. So pay attention, you don't want the comma splice, you don't want a sentence which should have had a full stop in it. So none of these ideas are completed. So beneath A watcher might shut their eyes and see the sea. That's completed. This one isn't. Stretched out in lazy ripples, so I can add that on with a comma. This one also isn't a completed idea, in a reflection of the perfect sky, so I can have a comma for that one. Without getting into the technicalities of when to use commas or not, you want sentences which have lots of commas in, with each one separating another idea, that build real depth to your description. There's a massive advantage in doing that early on, because it shows the examiner you've got that skill, and also if you forget it later on, the examiner's already seen an early instance of when you've done it correctly. So memorizing this kind of structure will really pay dividends if you lose concentration and skill later in the exam. Right, another way that students can easily lose marks is to forget to paragraph. I think this might come from texting, where you just keep, banging away with your predictive text and you have some great block of writing and send it off. I don't know what the cause is, but I notice it's on the increase, where even really, really good writers, students that is, will submit me something online in just one big fat massive paragraph. So I've separated these two to show you that whenever there's a slight change of topic, you change paragraph. So this one was about the sun, and this one is now about the sky. Now, it wouldn't be wrong to have this as one big long paragraph. However, I'm encouraging you to separate it here to train you that every time there's a slight change of topic, start a new paragraph. Many students think paragraphs are somehow rationed, that, if you write too many, the examiner will think you're wasting them or something. I don't know what it is, but the more paragraphs you put in, the better. And students never put in a paragraph in the wrong place, because you can always spot a change of topic or a change of time. However, students continually ignore the change of topic and change of time and just end up with one big fat massive paragraph. So getting that right early on will help you. If you forget later on, the examiner will still be able to see you had that skill and you kind of forgot to use it later. So doing it early is a wonderful idea. Okay, next, it's really important to use metaphor. I particularly love similes, but if you overuse the simile, your writing can feel a little bit mechanical. Whereas the metaphor is more powerful, because you're saying one thing actually is something else. It's just a quicker way to make your comparison. Simile is a slower way. So here's my metaphor. The sky showed off its artist's trickery. So the sky is an artist. The alert amongst you will have spotted that's also personification. I'm not fussed about whether it's personification or not at this stage. If you use personification, so much the better. That's the gold-plated version of a metaphor. But so long as you know that you're using metaphor, you're going to get these high grades. You're going to jump 1 or 2 grades compared to what your writing is now. Right, this technique is also underrated. So everybody, well, nearly everybody knows what an adjective is. Your writing does need to be filled with adjectives, as I can show you here. But the second part of that, which I'm now going to make my 12th wow factor, is try to avoid adverbs. Like, you might use the odd one in your writing, but adverbs slow down any sense of drama. They slow the rhythm of your sentence down, and they make things happen more slowly. So avoid them if you possibly can, and use adjectives instead. Sometimes it's really cool to have a pair, like cobalt blue. I haven't overdone that here, but you can see I've got adjectives in every line, and that's an easy way to bring colour, life, texture, feeling, emotion to your writing. So don't neglect that. Now, I can't believe I've already got to 14 minutes in, so I think I'm actually going to cut this video short and make the next one to go with it. So I'll take you through the images like this one. In fact, I'm going to set you a challenge. why don't you try to write your own description that looks very much like mine, steal as much of it as you can, but apply it to the beach. So you're going to have to put things in that come from this photograph. Okay, you don't have to change it tremendously, although you can change it as much as you like. And in my next video, I'll show you exactly how I changed it and then go through the others. And that way you won't be stuck with one massive video. Anyway, see you soon. Good luck with your revision.